I was thinking about, because you were describing this thing about taking away the shoelaces and the belts of people and trying not to make them commit suicide, and everything in their life when they are locked up in a psychiatric ward is then concentrated on not committing suicide, which is the total focus on suicide or not, and not about the client's life and how to live it. So if this sort of practice actually create suicides, then it's not a research-based practice, but it's a practice based on something else. So.
Well, you mean the institutional approach?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's based on some sort of idea that if we take away some opportunity, the clients will survive, at least today or something, or at least not under our roof. This will not happen, or something. Like
in a nutshell, that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then there are areas in the psychiatric treatment that is not based on research or a good practice tradition, but on something else that maybe a habit or something from the past. It's
the way they've always done it. You know, it's been that way for 60, 70 years to my knowledge. And you know, we got to a point where we had, I think it's still around, close observation and special observation, where you have staff getting into ridiculous game playing with patients on wards and in, you know, inpatient units, where they're peering around the curtains to see the patient they're supposed to be observing and tick a box every hour, this sort of thing. And the patients, of course, notice this. And there's good basis for paranoia, you know, when someone peering at me again, you know, this sort of thing. And it's very dehumanizing of patients. And patients say themselves, you know, this is very humiliating, this approach of close observation, special observation. Although they, if pushed, some of them appreciate that the staff or the system are trying to save their lives.
Of course,
but what happened in most cases I was involved in, very few staff would be prepared to sit down with that patient and have an existential discussion about their life and their future. They wouldn't have an honest conversation talking about suicide as an option to problems, and how important it is to help that person find solutions. There was none of that happened. You know, it's just this close observation, special observation, and you know, staff talking amongst themselves as to how suicidal the person was or not, you know, which is, you know, I'm not saying it didn't save some lives, but the suicide rate amongst inpatients, outpatients, and amongst patients within a month of discharge, they're worryingly high. And I was reading about some research last week that said that they're talking about risk factors. This is another thing that organizations get very wrapped up in risk management and risk assessment and management. And another risk factor now is in psychiatric inpatient admission. The fact that you're admitted to a psychiatric inpatient unit increases your chance of suicide.
Yeah, so that would speak towards looking over the routines.
Yes. Should be, yes. And I think sometimes in my more radical moments, I think it would be really useful if a deceased relative, I mean, I've got other things to think about when they have become a deceased relative, but it would be good for them to mount a challenge to the system that did not, that provided this approach and nothing else, and to say, well, was that best practice? Did you serve?